Hi there, welcome to the A.D.K Rock and Metal channel. And for tonight's interview, I'm joined by Oxford death metal quartet Bloodshot. And great to announce that all members of the band are with us. So I'm going to read through, you've got the names on screen, but I'm just going to say for the benefit of the viewers who we have joining us. And all four of them are going to be talking to me and answering questions. So we've got Will Hathaway on bass. Yeah, if you want to put your hands up.
Hello.
Ed Collins on drums.
Hello.
And I've got Liam Karain. Is it Karain or Karana? How does it?
You said it right the first.
Karain. Oh, sorry, yeah. Sorry about that. Liam Karain on guitars, and then we've got vocalist and guitar player Macaulay Luca. So,
Hello.
Welcome to the channel. Let's start, because I know it's going to be fresh in your memory. You've just played the Paradeath Hypothermia event at Brighton on Sunday, the 18th of February, with headliners Visions of Disfigurement and Hertfordshire Metal Heroes, because I live in Hertfordshire, I'm going to say that. Countless Skies as the main support. So what do you remember fondly from this this bill that you played on 3 days ago?
Just remember just the support. It was incredible. It was a great turnout. The promoters were absolutely fantastic. It was our first time meeting them and working with them. Yeah, really, really nice chaps. And of course, all the bands were amazing.
They're all lovely.
And everyone coming out for a day of death metal, basically, in Brighton. It was great fun.
Everybody there was friendly.
Before you got on stage,
All the bands played really well as well. It was really good to be part of that. But we've been looking forward to this build since we were put on it. You know, that sort of style was like, yeah, it was really, really exciting to be part of. So yeah, it was really good. The crowd was awesome as well. Lots of loyal people there. So yeah, it was lovely to start to get a footing in Brighton. Actually, yeah, hopefully we'll be able to come back soon.
Excellent. Well, I think because there's not a lot of information out there, can you just give us? I think Ed and Liam, you were the first ones jamming, weren't you, for this project before it became Bloodshot? Can you just give me the origins of the band and how it's evolved to where it is now?
It was. I think I should probably start it as I met this chap called Kieran, and he goes, "Oh, I know this chap who can play drums. You should come along to our practice." And I turned up. Ed turned up. He said, "Oh, you must be Liam. Oh, you must be Ed. You must be the drummer. You must be the guitar player." And nobody turned up. Nobody else turned up. It was just me and this complete stranger. And the first thing was, "Do you like Lamb of God?" And that's probably all got rolling. It was that, Ed. Do you want to take off from there?
God, I remember it like it was yesterday, mate. Yeah, we were just in college. We were 17. I was 17. I think you were 16 at the time.
Yeah, it was my first year.
So it was 10 years ago, and we just started just jamming from there. I mean, we've both been playing our instruments for a long time up to that point anyway. So we just hit it off straight away, and the energy was insane. And from then on, we just bonded from there, you know. And we wanted to just develop, you know, more material from that, and we just wanted to start off just doing some covers, and we just blasted through them, gone through our favourite band. We had a lot of very similar bands that we were all into, especially Lamb of God. So the early Slipknot, the first album specifically was pretty dear to us. System of a Down as well. We loved that style too, and we just absolutely just blasted through it from there. So Liam was doing music in college, and I was doing another course on it, and we just spent pretty much every weekend together from then, and it's just developed from there. And then we went for a couple of guitar players to get to Mac, got through a few bass players to get to Will, and you know that was 6-7 years ago now, and we've been best friends and together ever since. So yeah, it's been brilliant, and yeah, it's been lovely to see it develop the way it has. Definitely
Sounds like a fairy tale.
Yeah, all happy families.
I left my glass slipper in the studio as well. And so we had a reason to come back and jam again. You know, it was that kind of thing.
How many times have you played the Metal to the Masses competition? Come on, that is the ultimate grassroots.
We've played a few times. Yeah, the last
Twice
time,
at least.
Yeah, it was 2 or 3 times. I can't remember specifically. But yeah, the last time we competed, there was a power cut on the whole of the high street in Oxford. We had played our set, and yeah, the power went out during the band after us. And yeah, we had to cancel the final early. We had to call it early. So it was an eventful one.
We took that with a pinch of salt, didn't we, at the time?
It was unfortunate. But
that was definitely rough for us, to be honest with you, because we knew that we had the potential of playing Bloodstock that year. But if anything, that's actually fueled us to do better with everything else. Without that, we wouldn't be where we are now. With a solid fan base on Spotify, on all our pages, at our gigs. Without that, we might not have even got with Mosaic Music. So yeah, it's been I'm glad it's happened, because we've only ever got stronger from all of the stuff we've had to go through.
You mentioned Mosaic Music, so you've put this announcement out on the 7th of February that you're partnering with them. I assume you've probably signed an agreement, haven't you? A memorandum of understanding. I don't really deal, I deal mainly with PR, as a reviewer. So I don't really know much about the music promotion side of the industry. How did that deal come about then with Mosaic Music?
So it stemmed from, we joined the Unearthed Music roster back late last year, and then Unearthed disbanded, and from that some of the agents who were working under Unearthed went off and formed their own separate artist management company, namely Mosaic. We got in touch with Harry, and we approached him with the idea of seeing if we could work with him as a booking agent. So instead of sort of artist management and just having a booking agent, and we came to an arrangement, and we've been working with him for about a month or so now, and it's going really well. He's a great guy, and he's got a lot of good bands on the roster as well. So we're excited to see what happens with that. So
yeah, because the lineup that you've got at the moment, then has this existed from 2017?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That's
17.
That's a lie, actually. Sorry, we had a separate vocalist, a guy called Harry, who was with us since 2016, 2017. And he left at the end of 2019, start of 2020. The decision was made that I should try hop on vocals. I couldn't bear to put down guitar. I love it with a passion. So I decided to try and do both.
Double duty.
And of course, COVID happened, which put a bit of a spanner in the works. There was lots of practicing over lockdown, which is good. It's just it's stuck since.
It meant that you smashed out the EP recording, though, mate.
We're just us four now, and no plans to change that. So
how strong is the friendship? Because I'll give you an example. I interviewed a Sheffield metallic hardcore band 2 weeks ago called Rough Justice. 4 out of the 5 members are from the same postcode. 3 of them have gone to the same primary school, and they're in their 30s. I just think that's incredible. That story alone. So how long? So Liam and Ed, you met at sixth form college, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, we met through there, and I think it's just been our absolute love for hating and loving each other so much. I don't see these guys as friends or mates. I see them as brothers. The brothers I chose is probably the way that we look at each other. And I think because we all went to different colleges, and it was only me and Ed who met, and Ed's 45 minutes away. We're all complete far from each other, at least half an hour away, 45 minutes to an hour each way for all of us. But we will put the time in for each other. I can't really put like a measurement on it, but
let's just say that these boys are the groomsmen for my wedding. That's how close we are.
Yeah, probably the best.
Like going into battle, isn't it? When you get on stage, it's you against the world. You've
It certainly feels like that. You mentioned going to schools, living in the same town. Liam and I lived in the same town for quite a few years. So he was only a 15-minute walk or so from me. That would often result. When I first joined the band, we were always hanging out at each other's houses and playing guitar together and on our crappy little combo amps and trying to keep the noise down for our parents. So yeah, it is nice. You know, we are best friends at the end of the day. So yeah.
I haven't got any others, so I don't have a choice.
What is your story? What got you into metal music? Because you're a bass player, aren't you?
Into metal music in general with these guys. Well, yeah, just at school. My parents were into rock, like Bryan Adams, Queen, Status Quo, and then your brain just naturally thinks, oh, what's heavier than that? And then you end up like with a bit of like pop punk, and oh, what's heavier than that? Metalcore. Then it goes into deathcore, and you're like, oh, actually a bit more structured music. And yeah, no, just the angrier the better. But I only met these guys. I met these guys through Harry, the old singer. Actually, I was at college with some of his mates, and we were hanging about. And he was one day he was like, "Oh, we need a bassist." I said, "Well, I play guitar, but bass is a little bit easier, so I can have a crack." And it's actually worked out really nicely after that.
Was it as easy as you thought playing bass?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't mean that. It's not meant to sound like I'm so great at it. It was just a lot easier to transition from guitar to bass than the other way around. But I couldn't do the guitar that these guys do, that Mac and Liam could do. So I'm much happier playing the one note at a time at the back, and that's my position, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Will is being extremely humble. He is actually a really good bass player. He's saying he's playing just single notes. He's doing the same stuff.
Sometimes I do too.
Sometimes he does too. Yeah, I'd say the actual role that Will plays is kind of being almost a kind of mattress on top of Ed, because Ed's drum playing is kind of what holds us together. Will just makes Ed feel louder and adds more groove to us, and again, what bass does, make guitar more prominent and thicker, and Will's got that ability to actually, if you guys are going playing a million notes, why don't I go and keep the groove going, because that's what the drums are doing.
I lock in with that quite a lot.
He's able to kind of go, he's able to be almost kind of like a bit of a strategist as a bass player. He plays a really good role with us.
I think that's one of the strengths of the EP. So let's talk about the EP then. So Absence, it's your sophomore EP. You self-released it on the 2nd of February, and you've already done the show last week, and I've seen on your Facebook feed that you've got some more coming up. I think what astonished me about this, I was just saying off camera, wasn't I? Because I do 7 reviews a week, and we do concentrate on extreme metal and prog and like weird, dark, avant-garde music at Scream Blast Repeat. Here we do death metal, thrash, classic rock, guitar music, heavy guitar music. And I have grown tired of death metal. And then this comes in my inbox. Macaulay just emailed Scream Blast Repeat, oh, we've got this EP coming out. And I put it on, track number 1, A Finite Life. And I'm in Sainsbury's doing my shopping, and I just hear this like weird, malevolent didgeridoo incantation, it sounds like. And it goes straight into, like you said there, groove. A really chunky, like classic Sepultura riff, syncopation. You can bounce to it. It's really aggressive, and there's like Slipknot in there as well. And Machine Head was a band that came through, and I just love all that stuff. I don't really listen to Slipknot now, but Machine Head, fantastic band. But what are the most enjoyable moments in this song, this track number 1 on this EP? If we just go around
the breakdown.
Which one?
Should we go one at a time? Ed, do you want to go? You're the groove master.
The breakdown. That's all you need. It's all you need in life as a drummer. It's all you need. No, yeah, definitely, because the build up is just so. It just gains momentum, and it gains the intensity you want. And when it hits, it's satisfying, and that's why I hunt for in all the tracks that we play. I always hunt for that stomping groove to make you move, and I love the I love the intensity done properly. I live for it. So yeah, that's one of my favorite bits of the whole EP, actually. That build up for the breakdown in it when it comes in. I don't know the actual timestamp, Mac. Do you know the timestamp of it?
Don't have it memorized.
Don't bother, don't get that.
It was just one bit, Ed.
It's just that whole section is just absolutely perfect. It's just and the solos as well, really nice.
Yeah, what he said.
Is that a relief for guitar and the guitar players and the drummer, the breakdown? Because you've got all this tension that you release, isn't it?
I'd probably say for me, it's either, I can't decide off the top of my head, it's probably the build up towards it where it goes into single track, because throughout this whole song we've had nothing but build up and everything. For the first time you get a little bit of breathing space, and I think that dynamic there is really good. I'd arguably say that, or the kind of building up again, because you sort of, it's kind of like getting on a roller coaster again just after you've been on it. So it's one of those bits. It's actually the bits that are probably the most least interesting, but I think they make everything else seem bigger and more interesting by comparison.
Yeah.
So I think for me, my favorite bits, I can't choose one. I think it's just the variety that the track has, because you have this sort of, as you mentioned, you got a sort of Sepultura like intro. You've got a really stompy verse, and then it goes into almost a little bit of black metal with the tremolo picking riffs, and then influences from Machine Head as well with the natural harmonics during the breakdown as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's Liam and I loved Machine Head. Again, playing in our bedrooms, we used to jam Machine Head, and so I think it's one of the influences that does. You're right, it does bleed through. But yeah, it's just a variety. I love it.
That tremolo part is so sharp. The palm muting. Will, as a bass player, you must be dreading that part live, having to follow that on bass, surely.
I just don't really. It's stripped back, and there's certain bits. So especially during the start of the verse, I'll just be playing the single notes and letting it hang. But then when it speeds up and it goes into the more tremolo picking, I'll try and like double or triple pluck the string sometimes.
It sounds very demanding on the bass. All of our music is, to be fair.
Yeah, it was a bit different because with recording I was using a pick to get the clarity of everything. But live, I use my fingers most of the time, so I don't, I've got to make up for that somewhere.
Yeah. Because do you know what, one thing that stands out as well is the absolute rhythmic perfection of the drums, especially the double kicks. And there's a song on that I keep talking about the supermarket. So on my journey, walking back to my house, I think that's when I get to Dead Horizons, which I know was a single, and your merch, your t-shirt is quite popular, isn't it, with your fans? And I said it's sharper than a samurai sword. But man, you don't even need blast beats in music like this when you've got the groove that you're doing. Can you just tell, when you're in a rehearsal room, can you other guys hear the clarity of that double kick when you're in the rehearsal room?
That's all you can hear.
You tell me, boys.
Yeah,
Will's
right. Yeah. Sometimes it is.
Yeah, it punches through you, especially with triggers.
Yeah, I mean, Ed is very loud, but I think it kind of, I'm going back to the bed frame again. Ed is the one that frames us. He goes like, this is the way this needs to feel. And originally we were just doing 8th notes, but Ed just went in straight away with 16th notes and then said,
faster.
Ed has this like fantastic ability to know when to use momentum, when not to. He said, no, come in hard.
Stop it, guys. Stop it.
Kicks. And me and Matt naturally just feel Ed's kind of double kick in our right hand.
I've been listening to and playing along on the drums to metal since I was like 5 years old, and I just know I'm just so driven for perfection on it, and I like doing it properly, and I guess that's why I'm able to play so loud, is because I've got the control and technique first, and I've built up the velocity from there. And yeah, it's just, I just feel what's needed at what certain point to get the absolute maximum out of every second of what we play. And it's because we're all driven for the same objective, and it's just for the energy, really. and that's what I try and go for. What will make people move the most effectively and the most enjoyably that way, and it's just I just work out what would make people bounce in the best possible way during everything. So yeah, I just sort of make it work like that.
It is funny. I must say, actually, going off that, in the studio, it was hilarious because you'd finish tracking your drum parts, you come back in, you'd listen with demo guitars, and you'd pick out the smallest thing that you did wrong, or you think, actually no, I should have done another kick there, or another snare hit here, or whatever, and it's incredible because I would never have picked it up, and it's really interesting to see, actually. It's just great.
Cheers, mate.
It's a very technical record. I think that's what you do expect, that if you're listening to, death metal, and it's clear, isn't it, that probably is your origins. But as I said in the Screen Blast Repeat review, I think you're making it a bit more exciting. There's a lot of groove in there, isn't there, which you don't always get. I mean, I know you've got bands like Gojira who started off as a death metal band, and they're the kings of groove now, aren't they? And obviously, Ed, surely Meshuggah will probably be your all-time favourite band as a drummer, I assume, won't they?
Well, bleed is definitely one of my favourite kick patterns. Yeah, I can do it. I can do the kick pattern, but getting the hands on that as well is it's a work in progress for me right now. The boys will tell you about that. It's all I ever do when I'm setting up my triggers. But yeah, I always work on it. But yeah, for me, I feel like blast beats when they're done, when they're either overdone or done in the wrong part, it just destroys the momentum of a track. So I try and avoid blast beats as much as I can, because it doesn't accentuate the parts as well as what I like. And I know when stuff can come in properly without having to just fill stuff in unnecessarily, if that makes sense. So, because I've heard a lot of songs with a lot of blast beats, and it's just you can't. It's a finesse
technique.
Yeah, doesn't match rhythmically. So that's why Chris Sadler from Lamb of God is such a massive influence for me, because he's able to get that groove and movement in his rhythmic section and in his drumming, without having to just blast through it, basically.
Yeah, blast beats were fun when they first, bands like Morbid Angel and Napalm Death in it. But I'm like you, I think often it doesn't, especially in black metal, like that lo-fi necro blast beat. It sounds fucking atrocious. All I can hear is just the ride cymbal. Can't even hear the snare.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I think the only band that really does it like good justice nowadays is Batushka.
Oh yeah, the Polish band.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of them, but like, I don't enjoy blast beats in many other, or like new bits of music anyway. But I think they do it justice.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I do have blast beats in one of our tracks. I think in our one track, I think I do it in Dead Silent. I do it in Dead Silent. I'm pretty sure. But
that's it. It's a bit to be spread about here and there. It's a nice little blast beat.
I dot them sometimes,
and then.
I think with the blast beat, it's something that came out of just complete dexterity. It's a huge change. It breaks down the monotony of the rock steady beat of kick snare. Then you've got the Slayer beat, which is the kind of kick snare. It's just double that. The momentum of the change there is fantastic. I'd say what Ed does is he probably does what Jerry Jordison would have done and take little snippets of every other bits that he likes, including a blast beat, and sometimes less is more to build momentum. It's probably the way Ed uses.
I try and use cadence in my drumming, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you've got that kind of
technical now.
The stops kind of
Who writes the lyrics for the band?
All me now.
God Eater. What's that song about? God Eater. It's a good title. I could probably guess.
Funnily enough, it's nothing to do with religion whatsoever. It's basically most of the songs actually. It's laced with metaphors. God Eater is about basically becoming something bigger and better than yourself, something that is powerful enough to eat a god, for example. So sort of overcoming a lot of adversities in life and being told you're not good enough, just becoming more than that. that like there's a line in it in the second verse that says clip their wings so they can't fly. It's sort of about that other point of view of putting people down, and I guess metaphorically clipping their wings so they can't go on to do what they want to do. Lyrically the EP does a lot of that. It sort of switches perspectives of what the topic's about. But yeah, God Eater, nothing to do with religion. So
that's a positive message, that, isn't it? Transcend, be your own God.
Yeah,
it's about empowering yourself, isn't it, and finding a way to do that.
Yeah, and lyrically again, the EP is a little bit, I guess, different from like traditional death metal. Instead of a sort of a cannibal corpse, like I'm angry, I'm going to kill everything. This is all these gruesome. I love that stuff as well. Don't get me wrong. I just can't write in that style.
I think like for the way Mac writes is similar to like the first wave. So the Tampa, Florida scene with Death and Morbid Angel, where it's more archaic, mythological, human suffering, but on both a physical and mental, as opposed to when it gets to Cannibal Corpse level, where it's very much the metaphors and philosophical lyrics have now gone. You've got songs like Fucked with a Knife.
Yeah.
We're more inspired by
Death is a good one, because that was the first death metal band that I ever listened to, and I absolutely love them. It's a regret that I wasn't born earlier. They were gone by the time I found them. But yeah, big inspiration for me lyrically and thematically, definitely.
That's one of the reasons I think why I don't listen to as much death metal these days. I'm like you, Death. To be honest, probably the greatest metal band of all time. Not even death metal. They're just incredible, aren't they? I've got all 7 albums. I'm looking at them now. I'm with you on that. I love that band. Chuck Schuldiner, the ultimate guitar player for me. But God Eater as well. There's a good mid-tempo crunch to it, and then there's a song, like Dead Horizons. Do any of you listen to that Canadian band Cataclysm? Are you familiar with that? You remind me a bit of them. You've got a lot of groove in there, and they lyrically as well. Their last album was called Goliath, which I really enjoyed. And that's again about self-empowerment and overcoming your nemesis and your rivals and being the better man. I just think that's refreshing.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get me wrong. When we first started out, it was we loved the sort of traditional death metal and slam metal, and trying to be a little bit gory with the lyrics and the themes. But I think, just being a bit edgy, really. But we were teenagers. It was just a bit of fun. But I think, we sort of refined what we want to talk about, what we want to be about, lyrically and thematically. It's
pretend what you feel now.
Yeah.
I wanted when we recorded this EP, I wanted clarity in the mix, and that's why Discarnate was definitely well up there for the end result with what I wanted for the EP.
Yeah, the production is excellent. Which studio did you use for this record?
So we went to a place called Studio 6 in Wootton Bassett, which, funnily enough, is where Discarnate did some of the recording for their last album, With All Their Might. We reached out and we worked with a lovely guy called Stu McKay, and absolutely brilliant
Top
guy.
Notch, absolutely top notch.
Absolutely smash him. Definitely recommend him to anyone who wants to go record music or even go for rehearsals at the studio. It's a great space.
But Baroness have done some stuff there as well, so he does a nice range of things.
He did some old school Ingested and old school Malevolence as well. So he's got some good bands on the list there, and he really knows his stuff. Great guy.
Yeah, that drummer from Ingested, Ed, is he called Lynn Jeffs?
Yes, we have played with them.
How good is he on drums?
It's a machine, mate. He is a machine. He's a force to be reckoned with, that guy. Let's put it that way. He's so professional. When we played with him at Rabbit Fest, that was fantastic to see them play. It was great to play with them as well. And yeah, he absolutely killed it. His cymbals are so nice as well, but I won't get into the technicalities.
Can I ask, is there any consensus on this? What was the hardest song to write for this EP? Hardest to get over the line?
Probably.
Yeah.
We've all got different answers.
Well, Liam,
for different reasons.
Liam, what did you say was what would you say is the hardest one?
I would say Absence of Being. I think that was the one that really pushed us to do something different, do something really out of our comfort zone. From what I've heard from the rest of the band, I think it was more like our playing style, and it's like, oh, that bit was hard for me to play on guitar, or that bit's hard for me to come up with drum patterns for. This song had a little bit of that for all of us. Mac as a lyricist, as a guitar player, me as a guitar player, Ed as a drummer, and Will as a bass player. It was something that pushed all of us a bit, that one.
This is the last song on the EP, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one that's, to me, it's got like a post-punk vibe to it. Loved it. The first minute, I was like, oh, this is Typo Negative. Something like that. It was really
the sort of
I do like them.
The sort of crunchy like chugs that you hear when the first solo is coming in, that was actually added in the studio. We never had that written before we started. But you sort of listen to it and you think, oh, it's just missing something. It's missing a little bit of rhythm there, and we decided to add it in. And
it was something that just kind of came out of like just liking even classic stuff. So when we hear that, it was almost kind of reminds you of like Pyromania by Def Leppard, that kind of dual track guitars just chugging away in the background while you have a singer kind of just thrusting forward with a solid beat moving. It's so simple and effective, but the result is fantastic. It feels lively, but it doesn't overstay its welcome.
It was a good bit of experimentation, and hopefully there's some good building blocks for future stuff as well.
Demarcation was the biggest struggle for me.
It's the hardest for me to get that.
Of the drums.
Felt like a mountain to climb. I don't know why. It wasn't quite there. It wasn't quite perfect. I just couldn't figure out how to make it flow properly. But I got there in the end. I got there in the end, yes. But it just took by far the most work.
A lot of finessing.
Yeah, Demarcation was the song that went through the most rewrites in the rehearsal room. It took the longest to write for sure. We changed it, like big major changes, probably about 4 or 5 times. We just couldn't settle on anything. But
eventually, we did in the end though, and I love it now. So
every month Ed changes his mind whether he loves it or wants to change it again.
yeah, definitely took a lot. These things take time,
But yeah, for me, I've got to agree with Liam that Absence of Being was probably the hardest for me as well. And I think a large part of that is because it's one of the slower songs, the slowest song on the EP. And I think that it's just so different to what we've done before, and trying to make my style fit with the slower song with clean guitar parts. It was just something quite different for me.
How nervous are you about playing this song live? Because you're right, it is a bit of a departure, isn't it, from the other tracks on the EP?
Yeah, so we played it live once at our release show. So we're on the 2nd of February. On the release day, we organised a show at the library in Oxford. We played through the EP in full, and then we finished off with some older songs. So it was the first time we had played it, but the reception was very positive. It's always a bit of a worry playing a bit of a longer song live, because some of our earlier stuff is that they can be quite long, sort of 7 minutes or so. Because as an audience member, you don't want to get bored. That's the one thing you don't want. So it can be a little bit nerve-wracking, but I think that the track itself provides enough variety that you want to keep listening. And of course, seeing the reception for, say, like the ending breakdown, it was great. People loved it. So
it builds up and then it finally hits, and hopefully people are ready to punch each other.
That's what
good outro. I agree. It's a good way to end the EP. I think it fades out, doesn't it, as well? That outro, the riffing. Am I right in thinking?
Yeah. So we end on the clean guitar part again. And then we sort of slowly bring back in the tribal throat singing that the EP starts with. So when the idea is that when you listen to it on as a whole EP on Spotify, it loops back, and it's this big cyclical EP, which is kind of what we're going for lyrically as well, about life and being stuck in an endless cycle. So we sort of explore that rhythmically and lyrically. So it's an interesting one, especially if you read through the lyrics as well with the CD booklet. Hopefully you see that. So.
Excellent. I've just got 2 more questions then. One of them is just off the cuff, because you talked about you added this extra part in at the last moment to the last track on the EP, Absence of Being. What were the high five moments, where you've done something in the studio that you can remember where you're like, fucking hell, and you're just like...
The gang vocals.
Did you experience any of that when you recorded
gang vocals? For sure, yeah, 100%. There was just something where the thing about gang vocals is that they just feel lively, and for us it's about capturing that lightning in the bottle with us live. And we felt that even though this is probably the best production we've had, we wanted something in there that just is something. So we just got into a room and we already had this idea to do gang vocals, and when we did them, it was just one of those things where we've all done the exact same thing, because so Ed was number one playing drums for the first time, well, not for the first time, but being recorded. Ed's done, he's done it. I've done my part, Will's done his part, Max done his part, but we all did that together. So it was kind of like
nice way to finish it all off.
It was kind of like throwing a champagne bottle on a boat. It was that one moment together.
God, that is the best metaphor we could have ever picked.
All of us just kind of going, no, you sucked. No, you were too loud. No, you were too loud. We finally got it. Yeah, that was the moment for us.
Yeah,
it was very fulfilling at the end.
Yeah.
So just the final question then, and this is one that your fans will want to know. What are the future plans then? So you've released the EP, you've just signed a memorandum of understanding with Mosaic Music. What can we expect for the rest of the year so you can keep this EP in people's consciousness?
One thing I think that people can definitely expect is a lot more gigs. We've got a lot more coming up. Got a lot of stuff in the works for gigs as well, looking at some possible sort of weekender dates. And then we also have a music video coming out for a track, which I will not say which one. So we have that to look forward to. And as always, our work is never done. We're in a rehearsal studio, practicing for a gig. Someone plays a riff. Oh, I've got a cool drum fill for that. And we start to build. So we have started to already always writing. We've already started to write some new stuff. It's never ending. It's good fun. And people should definitely keep an eye out.
And we might be making another music video.
And that.
We're just getting started, boys.
What kind of budget are you looking at for that? Or do you have some of these skills in-house within the band or within your close circle of friends, to do a video?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixture. Really. We'll have some good contacts for locations and for lighting, things like that.
Yeah, but it is. Well, I'd say sort of my job. I do lighting tech and stage crewing and theatre work. So I'm in that industry anyway, and so I've got a few contacts who are able to be very nice and lend us or cheaply hire us spaces and equipment. And it's been a good relationship.
It's been invaluable.
Yeah.
It's just meant that we've been able to kickstart all elements of this band in one go. You know, definitely can expect a lot more material coming from us and a lot more gigs. 100%. Oh yeah.
Sounds like you've really, now that COVID's behind us, it sounds like you've really got into your top gear now, and you just don't want to be held back, do you? You just want to get in that rehearsal room, play any gig that you can get, fucking smash up the audience, and then come back, put your brains together, write music, and keep doing it. I can tell you that you do this.
You read my mind.
Yeah. But I can tell you do it as friends as well, coming together, not just this is what we do. It's
a fun hobby,
yeah. I can sense that there's a real good spirit in the band, and I just hope you can keep that as well. There's no reason why you can't, obviously, because you seem to have a real good close relationship. So for our viewers, Macaulay's just said that there is a CD version with a lyric booklet. Is that a digipack CD or is it a standard plastic case CD?
We can look at that.
Plastic case at the moment. It's available on our merch store, which is bloodshotuk.bigcartel.com. Or you can stream it on Spotify. So yeah,
on Bandcamp,
videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Videos on YouTube.
I couldn't find you on Bandcamp. So am I right thinking is it just hard to find, or you're not on there?
We haven't set up an account yet.
We're a big believer in you shouldn't have to pay for stuff. We don't believe in that. We do it because we love it, and so should fans. I don't believe in putting stuff on. Oh, well, I don't. We all don't believe in getting people to fund Bloodshot. It's just we do it because we love it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need money.
It is definitely something we could look into if people are interested.
Yeah,
if they want to, we will. But
Spotify, Deezer, Apple Music, those kind of streaming platforms. Yeah. So just as a reminder, self-released 2nd of February. Fantastic record, 5 tracks, and it's the sophomore EP. Your debut was in 2017, wasn't it? I assume you've probably come a long way now. The production on this album, the clarity, the crunch of the guitars, the rhythmic precision of the drums, it's really worth listening to. And again, technical, but without being overbearing. This is not verse chorus music. There's a lot of thought gone into this. There's a lot of tempo changes that are never repeated again in the songs. There's a mystical finger tapping guitar solo in track number 1. Who plays that, by the way?
The first solo is Liam.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So it's does the CD booklet make that clear as well?
It doesn't. No, I didn't.
It's when you buy an album and it says lead number 1, lead number 2.
We can try that next time.
We should have done that.
Just so we know who's top dog.
Thanks. Thanks for joining us for this interview. And hopefully I'll be able to see you. I currently live in Hertfordshire, so it's not too far from Oxfordshire. Got some venues here. Club 85 in Hitchin's famous. It's closing down at the end of the year, so
yeah, see what we can do.
You can come up and play this legendary venue before it closes down. That'd be great. But yeah, all the best for the rest of the year. I hope you do get more gigs, and I can see you just want to get back into the studio and rehearsing and writing new material. So absolute pleasure having you on the channel. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks very much.
Very much. Cheers.
You're welcome.